Hey, thanks for tuning into the Land and Home Show. Today we're talking all about the fourth quarter of 2023, 2023 as a whole, and what we might be able to look forward to in 2024. Hi, I'm Stephen J.B. Davis, your land specialist and residential realtor here in Central Kentucky and beyond. Today, well, I already said what the video is about. You can find a full set of the stats down in the description of this video, along with my broker Justin Miller's 2024 market update. I believe he wrote it on January 17th. And then, of course, if you have questions, you can always, oh man, I never sit in these chairs. You can always email me or get in touch with me through the comment section, that type of thing. I won't waste any time and we'll get started. Okay, so fourth quarter of 2023 was kind of crazy. Really the big picture and the story for the fourth quarter was the interest rates. I had more than one listing in the fourth quarter, and they all suffered because of the rising interest rates. And so a quick recap of how that all went was October was the high of the entire year, topping out at around 7.8% interest rate for a 30-year mortgage. And that's if you were the best of the best type of borrower, meaning you had great credit. If you didn't have great credit, then you were paying a higher interest rate than that, or at least looking at paying a higher interest rate than that. So October was brutal. By the end of November, like right after Thanksgiving, they fell a little bit down to around 7.2 average rate. And then by December, we were down below below 7 to 6.6 or so. And so that really re-stimulated things. It wasn't just me. I know for a fact that, in November, it feels like it was like this doldrum. I mean, I guess it kind of was. There were other agents in my general association, showings plummeted for homes. People got releases, even though, inspections looked good or good enough. There weren't a lot of things to fix, but all this extra money having to come out of people's pockets once they got their rates locked in was just really tough, or having to buy down a rate in order to secure a more manageable monthly payment. It got to be very untenable for some people. So that slowed things down. And the thing that I want to make clear about that, because I don't know what's going to happen. I've got predictions, or at least, hearsay according to the feds about what may happen, but I want to pause to talk about how interest rates affect the market. Specifically on one of my listings, I got a lot of feedback. It's interesting. Some houses get lots of feedback, some houses don't. But on one of my listings, there was often commentary like, well, this has been on the market for a long time. And for one, long is relative. Right now, we are 2 weeks longer than during COVID. When everything was selling in a day, I think I've said this on my show before, people now think that because something's on the market for 14 days or 32 days, that something's wrong. And I think we have a little bit of amnesia. It seems to be pretty common in politics and also in real estate, where it wasn't normal for something to be on the market for 2 days, for some long, that wasn't this long established normal. That was an instance in time that lasted for about 12 months, 18 months. It is pretty normal, however, that something takes around 17 to 40 days on market before it closes. And I say that range because, the closer you are to a city, the faster that timetable is, the further away you are in our market. I'm not speaking on all markets, but in our market, the further away from those cities you are, those numbers can get to those longer extremes, 40 days, 38 days, etc. Um, when things become unmanageable for the average buyer out there, things will sit longer. I mean, if it's an average home, and I don't mean that in the sense that they're like judging someone's home, but if it's the kind of home where it was built in a neighborhood where there's probably 3 or 4 different floor plans, and your average earner or average earning family is trying to purchase that home, but now that home goes from a $1,600 a month payment to now being $2,000 a month, it's going to sit. And so as we go into a year of unknown, we've got an election year and all of that stuff, you have to consider as a buyer the circumstances under which you're buying in, which is why it is really important who you choose to buy with. Who is it that is your buying agent? Because sometimes there are external forces that make it easier or harder. And sometimes those external circumstances also make how a property appears to you more appealing or less appealing. And to jump to the conclusion that it's the property is not always wise. Collect information first, then think about how you feel about it second. But just because you have an impression or you have a hope that there's a deal to be made doesn't necessarily mean that you're standing on any kind of solid ground. And so the interest rates really did affect how an otherwise affordable property moved or didn't move in the fourth quarter, which is already a slower time of the year, especially as you get into the winter months there, after Thanksgiving. But yeah, that's my spiel on that. Interest rates were really, really tough. And so to make it concrete and put a button on this, so the activity in November, not November, in October, when we had that peak of interest rates, a conventional mortgage I think I did this for a $350,000 home. A conventional 30-year mortgage would have cost $2,000, and by the end of December, when the interest rates had dropped, that same home now costs $1,790. And so you may think, oh, that's only a difference of about $210. But $210 a month is a lot of money to a lot of people. And if you move backwards from there to, let's say, February of last year, when interest rates were even lower, 5%, 4%, you've gone from, I'm going to buy in the spring, to interest rates having almost doubled. So you can imagine what that mathematical difference is in a monthly for a house that you otherwise could afford, that you otherwise weren't stretching yourself to purchase. And now, when you've got almost double interest rates in the course of a year, you can see how that would affect whatever sect of people in whatever sect of the buying market. So anyway, I want to move on to some sold statistics. We're taking a big view of 2023. 2023 was an interesting year. I'm not going to get super heavy detailed. Again, you can find the full report in the description section, but I just want to go over some things as it relates to our association. When I say association, I mean the Bluegrass Association of Realtors, which now is an even larger association than it was in 2022. Rather than like the 22 counties we used to have in our jurisdiction, so to speak, I can't even think of the number, but we go now from the Tennessee border of Kentucky all the way up to like what is the start of northern Kentucky. It's a lot of counties. But in any case, let's run through some stats. So in terms of units sold, in 2023, in October of 2023, 1,038 units were sold as opposed to 2022, there were around 1,215 units sold. In November of 2023, 904 units sold, as opposed to November of 2022, 975. December of 2023 was 904 units sold, whereas in 2022, 982. So overall, if you're comparing the fourth quarter of 2023 to the fourth quarter of 2022, there was a decrease in the amounts of homes sold. So we're talking like individual homes. If you counted all of the homes that were sold, there were less sold in 2023 than 2022. But I would say it's a slight decrease. When we start talking about prices, this is where I think the bigger story is. In spite of things becoming, in spite of it becoming more expensive to borrow money, it has still become more expensive in our market to purchase a home just from the sheer price. So when you talk about medians, there was an overall increase in median price from 2022 to 2023. 2022, we had $235,000 median price in October. In 2023, that was $20,000 more, $255,000. In 2022 of November, $232,500 median price for each house. That became $257,000 in 2023. In 2022 for December, $241,500, and in December 2023, $252,500. Some pretty big differences. We're talking about tens of thousands of dollars of change when you compare fourth quarter of 2022 to last year, fourth quarter of 2023. Then if you want to look at averages, averages are really interesting. I like to tell both stories. I still don't always find medians personally valuable, but in any case, that's a philosophical thing. So averages, there was an increase, as you might guess. You had $273,000 in October of 2022 average home price, and then in 2023, $287,000. Pretty big difference. In November of 2022, there was $276,000 for average home price, and in November of 2023, that was $305,000. In 2022 December, $281,000 average home price, and a small increase for December 2023, $283,000. Overall, an increase. So that's how it broke down in our particular, like in the association I'm a part of. So this is independent of Northern Kentucky's Association of Realtors. It is independent of Louisville's Association of Realtors. It is independent of the Heartland Association. This is just the Bluegrass Association of Realtors. And there is a link below so that you can see what all counties that does include. I am not going to list every single one of them right now in this moment. If we want to talk about most opportunity and where you're going to find that you have the most options and where people are moving to the most, this is this section of the video. So the top 3 counties for sales in 2022 and 2023 were Fayette County, Madison County, and Scott County, in that order. And so when I say top counties, these are the 3 top counties where the most individual homes were sold. I don't think I even wrote down how many were sold in each county. I mostly want to talk about this from a place of medians and averages, because this is likely, if you're moving here or moving within the Central Kentucky region, this is likely where you're going to be going. You're going to be going to one of these 3 counties. So in Fayette County, Madison, and Scott, if you're not familiar, these are along what I would call the I-75 corridor. So if my hand is Fayette, then the Scott County is above, directly north, it borders. and Madison County is directly below. And what runs through all three is the thread of I-75. So Fayette County had a median home price of $315,000 in 2023, and in 2022, that was $295,000. So you've got a $20,000 home price increase for median price of homes in Fayette County. In Madison County, this is where Richmond is, where Berea is. It's not pronounced Berea here, it's Berea, along with a handful of other unincorporated towns and incorporated ones. 2023 had a home median price of $269,000, which is up $10,000 from 2022 of $259,000. And then lastly, Scott County, that the county to the north of Lexington, you had home prices of $310,000 median in 2023, which is up considerably. That is a $25,000 increase from 2022's median price of $285,000. So those are how the top counties stack up. I'm sorry if I'm seeming distracted. My cameras in the last video were both on the fritz, and one is already malfunctioned. I'm just making sure that they're both on. The last little comparison that I want to do is just talk about December to December, just comparing two Decembers. And I also want to narrow it down into zip codes. These are the top 5 zip codes. So by top 5, these are ranked by where the most sales were in the month of December for 2023, and just giving you the median price of where those places are. So coming in at number 5 is actually a Frankfurt zip code, which is kind of crazy. And Frankfurt's never on my map for top anything. It's not really like that rapidly developing, so that's why I'm surprised. But the median price in 2023, in December 2023 was $225,000. Number 4 is 40511, which is a Lexington zip code. That would be like the north, like Masterson Station. It's northwestern Lexington. The median price there was $340,000 in December of 2023. Coming in at number 3 is 40509, a massive zip code. It is in Lexington, and it is most closely associated with the Hamburg area. Hamburg does not encompass all of 40509, but most of it. And the median price there was $287,000. Coming in at number 2 is 40475, which is a Richmond, Kentucky zip code. That's in Madison County. $296,000, December of 2023. And lastly, number 1 is 40324, a Georgetown zip code. Georgetown is in Scott County. So that price is $299,000 for median home price. What's also interesting is, you had the top 3 counties that I said in the previous segment, and in the top 5 zip codes, the 5th zip code in Frankfurt, 40601, is not in the top 3 counties. I cannot remember if it's in the top 5, though. Maybe so. Full reports in the description. So, most opportunity is going to be along the I-75 corridor in terms of where the most homes are for sale. You're not going to get the best value, but in December of 2023, your best value exists in all 3 of those counties, Fayette, Madison, and Scott. So there's that. Last but not least, just want to talk about, oh wow, there's red-tailed hawk. I love seeing red-tailed hawks. Oh, there's 2 red-tailed hawks. That is bizarre. They're chasing after each other. Anyway, just a forecast. The Fed Reserve has made some amount of indication that there are some sorts of rate cuts happening this year. Who knows when? The Fed is a very weird thing to me. I understand what it does. I understand who they are, but it's just weird. And so they're saying whatever they're saying. Sometimes you don't know if they're saying it to get other things to happen that they don't want to like illegally influence. Like I don't know. So they're saying rate cuts. Who knows if they will happen? I've seen speculation as many as 5 rate cuts. I've seen as little as 3 speculated as well. So probably a rate cut of some sort, at least one, which will certainly make it better to borrowers. It's cheaper to borrow money, but I will say that it is often true that during those hot and heavy months of the most home sales happening, so that's July, August, September, during those months competition is steeper. You have more multiple offers. So if you're a buyer, be really aware of your own personal math here. A lower interest rate is not always the key to having a lower payment. You need to be aware of, what is the difference for you? I'm just pulling this example out of thin air. So, mathematically, if you get on your calculator, it may not work, but what is the difference for you if a house costs $100,000 at a 6.2% interest rate versus $120,000 at a 5.5% interest rate? Those are the dynamics that you need to be paying attention to in your own pursuit of a home, or really any property. What does it cost to borrow money? What does it cost for the actual property? How do those two things relate to your personal affordability? It's really easy to get excited, to get frustrated, to get disheartened, to get zealous about purchasing property. And your feelings are very important. You should feel confident. You should feel good and happy about what it is you're buying, not forced or sad or scared. But you do have to do the homework of your own math. Otherwise, you will find yourself in an unfavorable position. I don't want to say disaster, but you may find a lot of unpleasant surprises by the time you get to the closing table, or sometimes even after. So do the math, ask the questions, talk to your lender, talk to your real estate agent. It is too big of a decision to not understand what these economic circumstances have to do with your own personal circumstance, because your timing is not always going to be the timing of when it's the best time to buy a house or the worst time to buy a house. Your timing is going to be about when your kids are out of school, or when you're moving jobs, or maybe a divorce, or maybe liquidating investment properties. Like, your timing is not always going to be in line with those best timing ideas and sometimes fantasies. So with that said, the local forecast, a very cool guy who is also the CEO of my association of realtors, Justin Landon, just came and spoke at my brokerage office about what's been going on with various things. But among them, he said, he expects some rate cuts, but as far as the local ecosystem here, we're still going to have a shortage of inventory. It's not alarmist, it's just reality, and it'll still be a seller's market. The seller's market has softened, but by the time it's warm and everyone that is seriously looking and ready to buy a house is actually out and doing so, it'll be pretty competitive for buyers again. So that's that. I tend to agree with them. There's really not a lot of evidence to suggest the contrary. There's no massive developments that are about to be finished around Lexington that are going to markedly change the availability of homes here. So it'll be pretty competitive here for a while. In any case, that's all I've got for you. I hope you found this helpful. Full report is in the description. I know I've said it once, but people scrub around and sometimes they miss those disclaimers. So you can find the full report in the description along with my broker's uh, outlook on the market. And I think I owe one other thing down there. Oh yeah, the list of counties that now belong to the Bluegrass Association of Realtors. With that, I will say farewell. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and thank you for watching.